Pouse around the house. Today we're looking at part 10 in my series of loft conversion videos. We're going to be removing the old slates and the old felt. We're going to be doubling up the old rafters to level out that wonky roof. We're going to be securing the new joists to the old rafters, finishing off the cheeks of the dormers and making some frames for the new Velux windows. As you can see now, we've taken the slates off the roof. We've done them in a straight line, but we've actually gone over onto the neighbour's side a bit further because we need to overlap the felt. Now where his roof has been done later than this one, still about 20 years ago, you can see the felt's a bit dodgy, to be honest. We had a bit there that was dropped onto his side of the loft, so what I've just managed to do is you can see this bit that I've stapled. I had to pull it up from underneath. I've secured a batten on the inside of the centre board at the house to give me something to secure to. And you can just see those staple marks there. I've just stapled the felt back up because otherwise any water that would have got under there would have dripped down his side and potentially made the wall that I've built between us and next door damp. So we sorted that problem. We're going to now remove all the battens. We're going to get all the felt off. We can come back in and line these battens up. I mean, from here you can see that dip in the roof I was telling you about, how it used to dip down that way. Because what we're going to do now is slightly adjust everything to come up with that ridge board, which is now we know is level. The battens we're going to have to pack slightly on this side, and then they'll slowly taper down until they meet into this roof. Everything will look nice and straight and level. Going back to this side, when we lay the felt, is what we're going to do is lift the neighbour's battens up ever so slightly, just take the end nail out, and we're going to run the felt over and underneath his slates as far as we can. Then we'll tack that back down. Then it means then that as well as having this felt that we've just tacked up there on his side, my felt is going to overlap onto his side, so any water ingress is going to make its way down the roof and into the gutter and not down into either loft.
Crowd pleaser and achiever, something special about you. I lost emotion, got a notion, I won't be happy without you. Got a reason, in season, got a piece of the action.
Now we've got all the felt off. You can see the end of the joists, what we were doing inside the loft in an earlier video, how all these joists are sat down on the wall plate. We've got our insulation there, our rock wool, which gives you fireproof properties, but it also gives you some warmth to the floor and sound deadening properties. And then we've got that insulation board, which you would have seen us put in before, which we told you only did that early because we obviously didn't have the room to get the big boards in once all those vertical props were underneath the purlins. Then is what we're going to try and do today now, if my insulation turns up, is fill the insulation between the rafters, and then we can start going over the top with felt. The other thing we're going to do now we've got access is all these joists down here. We're going to try and maybe pack between the joists and the rafters and screw them all together and get some screws down into the wall plate like you saw us do over this side of the house down here, and just make everything solid again so the whole triangle of the roof is all secured together and nothing can move anywhere. So now I'm just going to go along here, drill some of the joists, pack them in between the rafters, and I'm going to screw them all together.
Real love, spit blood, can't stop my affection. Freak out, break down, need a little direction. Fingers are burned, too close to fire to mention. Shaking just a little bit, gotta get your attention.
see now we pack between the joist and the rafters. Some of the rafters are right up to the joist anyway, and then we put screws through. We've screwed down into all these wall plates. You can see on that one, straight down with a 100mm screw through the packer plate down into the wooden wall plate, so they're lovely and secure. So everything is secured, joist to rafter, joist to packer plate, joist through packer plate to wall plate, and all these are secured into this outer wall plate with the rafter. Right, so just to show you what we've been doing, as I mentioned earlier, we've got this ridge line we've put in which is higher than the old one because it used to dip down. So we've gone to the effort to try and straighten all this roof out. So, if you look along the bottom of the roof, we've run a string line from that side over to this side. And if you look, it's bang on all the rafters. So all the movement in this roof in the past has been on the top. And it's probably where, to be honest, under the purlins, there should have been 2 props on the corners and they were never put in. And this has been here for about 130 years. So the roof is obviously sagged at the top. You can see our second string line along there. Again, no gap underneath the string line. You get to that top one, and by the time you get to the corner here, you've got about an inch and a half under it. So what we're doing is utilising all these old rafters, and where we've run our 3rd string line up there, and we've got a 4th string line right across the top at the line that our rafters need to run into. So using the old rafters, you can see there, I'll go over here, we've doubled them up, and where old Big Pouse is popping some screws in, that runs flush at the bottom here with this rafter. And if you go up to the top, we've run it flush there, so you can see it's just slightly lifting as you get to the top. And what this is going to do is get bigger along this way. This end rafter is bang on, it's fine. And by the time we get over here, we'll meet the new rafters that we've done. We will have taken out this dip in this roof, and we should have a lovely straight roof with the maximum height up to the ridge line, give me a bit more room inside on the end. And the main thing from the outside is all this ridge, when we put all our ridge tiles on, will look bang on and like a lovely new roof. So it's time for a quick update. Just to show you what we're doing, we're going to be putting a Velux in by here. So at the moment we've got a combination of trying to do the framework for the Velux window and level these rafters out. Now if we look by here from the chimney down, you can see that the roof line there was about right. Now the neighbour's one does tilt slightly away from the chimney, but mine was dreadful. So if you look down there at that line now, we're bang on where we're putting in these new rafters. And it's what we've been doing. You can see here we put an old rafter and we screwed it into the side of an existing fitted rafter. And we've sat them up properly, so we basically doubled up the rafters, but we put the one higher than the other. And then when it comes down here, it slopes into the old rafter, and then we did have a string line which we just broke across here, and that's what we're going to. You can see now where we've just put these 2 lengths of 2x4, the gap was so big there that we can put that in, and when you get underneath there, you can see it doesn't even stick down low, so we've increased the ceiling height underneath as well. We just got to do some horizontal braces for the Velux now, and the way we're fitting this is pretty much using the dimensions on the instructions, and then do these rafters. We're going to cut across them now. And you can see along all these, plenty of screws into the ridge board, plenty of screws into the rafters we've attached to it, and they're all sat down there on the purlin, so everything's solid as a rock. It's basically doubled up the size of the rafters. So if we have a look over there now, we've got the opening dictated by the instructions on the Velux window. We've gone for the maximum opening, so it gives you a bit of leeway to play around with things. And if you look over here now, Big Pouse is marking out the one for the other Velux, so we're doubling up this rafter there, right the way down. We'll do the same with one somewhere, I guess roughly by there. We'll measure it out in a minute. So that'll be it for today. As you saw earlier, we secured all the joists into the wall plates, all the joists into the rafters, rafters to the wall plates. We've done the outlines of the Velux windows up there, so they're in place ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we've got the insulation turn up now, so we can get on with that first thing. We'll fill the insulation between these rafters then, leaving an air gap for the air beneath the felt. And then as you can see up there, we've been doubling up these rafters. We've started to level out this roof a bit better, which I told you earlier, so it's in line with this ridge line. So slowly we're working our way across, and it should gradually just blend into the other bit of roof we've done with the new rafters there. We should have a nice flat roof. As I mentioned earlier, we got this underboarded insulation that we did earlier on in one of the other videos. Beneath that is the plywood, and that's going to be the inside of the cupboard. Today I've gone along on all this rock wool. I've just pulled it to the edge just to make sure it comes to the wall plate, so the ceilings below are insulated. It's also fireproofing. And I've been along and I've spaced all the gaps where there are any gaps between these joists, so that we can screw tightly into these rafters, so everything's nice and firm now. You've got the cheeks of the dormers over there, all the way across the front and back round the other side. And for tonight now, we're just going to have to pull the tarpaulin over, get another one under here and try and make this watertight in case it rains tonight. And then we got some bad weather coming on the weekend apparently, so I'm just going to go for it tomorrow and see if we can't get this felt on, which I originally wanted to do today. Then a quick view from the inside. There's our one Velux opening, and then we got the other Velux opening up there. Like I say, the cheeks of the dormers, what we did, although that's just a V shape, we brought that straight in a square there because it just gives it a bit more protection, stabilises that cheek a bit more. Done the same on this side. Still got all the tarpaulin here, we're going to pull that over now tonight. So that's it for today's video. If you want to see more of my loft conversion videos, you can click on the links in the description section below. And for more DIY, how-to, household tips and product review, please watch my other videos and don't forget to subscribe. I've been Pouse around the house. Ta-ta, farewell.